Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer, episode 17, I guess. We kind of lost episode yesterday. Um, I'm your host, RC. I'm joined by co-host here, Jeff. Jeff, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Ready to get rolling.
Yep, yep. Another week. Let's get to it. I don't have any Karen story. Well, actually, I mean, I kind of do, but yeah, man, I'm getting a little tired of my equipment here. The laptop blue screening, my internet's been shaky. Um, I did a Jeff Free episode yesterday, put it on YouTube. It wouldn't let me download it and convert the file to an audio only file. So, yeah, my own like personal business is turning me into a Karen.
That's rough.
Yeah,
When you
man,
turn when you turn yourself into a Karen, that's a tough time.
the struggle is real. The struggle is real. I want to talk to our manager, which is apparently me. Um, Anywho, let's get to it, man. There's been some wild stuff going on. So last week we recorded on Tuesday, and then I believe Tuesday evening or night were the boycotts, right? Or maybe it was Wednesday. Um,
It was like Wednesday, Thursday, something like that.
so the NBA playoffs were nearly canceled. Um, just to recap what happened, the Bucks decided they weren't going to play their, I guess it was game five. And so that game got postponed, and then all the other games got postponed. Then there was a vote. The Lakers and the Clippers voted to cancel the season. All the other teams voted to continue the season. Um, However, upon more discussion, the players realized, came together because they would have taken a huge hit financially by walking out, and it would have affected the next collective bargaining um, contract with the owners. So ultimately, they're still playing. Jeff, what are your thoughts on what transpired late last week with the season nearly being canceled?
I actually thought it was kind of cool to see. Not in the sense of like I want to see basketball canceled or anything like that, but like
Yeah,
that these, you know, athletes who, in a lot of ways, don't face the same problems that are going on with a lot of people.
yeah,
And I say don't face the same problems. I mean that as in like now, right? A lot of times, I mean, we hear stories about professional athletes all the time getting preferential treatment in a lot of ways. And so it's kind of cool to see them, you know, still stand for what they believe in. And, a lot of them have stories and have shared stories about, having experiences like this growing up, you know, like what's going on. And so it's kind of cool to see that. And, I heard a few things like, the Bucks decided not to play because of was it Jacob Blake shooting?
yeah,
They decided not to play. It wasn't like they didn't tell anyone. All they said, they were willing to forfeit the game, right? Like they didn't know what the situation was. All they said was they weren't playing.
yeah,
Um, I believe the NBA then either went to the Magic or decided like, well, we're not going to let them forfeit. Like we'll just postpone the game. Then I heard that the other teams that were, so there were supposed to be two other games that night,
yeah,
that all the teams in those games were like, well, if they're not going to play, we can't play, kind of thing, right? Like, we got to stand in support and like all that. I think, you heard some players got really upset, right? They wanted to cancel the season because they feel like they're not doing anything down in Orlando, or what they're trying to do isn't getting through to anyone.
yeah,
But in reality, I think a lot of good has come out of this, right? Like there's a lot of talk around things that wouldn't necessarily be talked about, with these guys. And then I believe all NBA owners have committed to using their arenas as polling places.
Nice.
So that's huge, right? Because that's a place that can accommodate a lot of people. It's generally in most of these places probably near the inner cities where there's a lot of issues in terms of getting people to vote.
Yeah.
So I think that could be huge, and I just think that the players are doing their best to use the power that they have to help the average everyday person.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool to see.
100% applaud the players' actions. There's not enough of this. There's not enough of protesting in this way, not showing up to work, essentially.
Right.
That's what's going to get people to listen. Yeah, well, it's one way to get people to listen. Marching in the streets is one way as well. However, the people in power, if you get them to stop making money, or not be on everybody's TV, people are gonna take notice.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I think the other thing too that the players realized is that, a lot of the owners donate to conservative causes, right?
mhm.
Or conservative political, movements. And I think they realize, like, we need something to change, and like just playing isn't doing that. We need them to commit to helping our cause, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
know
know,
that
I
was a stipulation about them continuing the season was they want the owners to be more proactive about social injustice, and the
right.
owners said they're going to be. You know, fingers crossed that they follow through, but we'll
Well, I
see.
mean, I heard someone say something funny, but they were like, if the Minnesota Timberwolves can commit $300 million to Andrew Wiggins and Carl Anthony Towns, they can commit some money to social injustice.
Oh man, yeah, that definitely puts it into perspective. Um, a part of me wished that they just canceled the season. You know, I feel like the NBA has really stood out two times now with the coronavirus. Number one, that's kind of when the rest of the U.S. took notice. I know, I had been following it, and I said, I'm pretty sure things are going to be shut down significantly, but you never really know what exactly is going to happen. And then when the NBA postponed its season, it awoke a lot of people up.
Right.
And then now, with what's happening in Wisconsin, um, and around the world, really, well, around the country, at least, it's another thing that really got people to take notice. Some baseball games were postponed because of this as well. The Mariners, who have the most black players in the league, did not play that Wednesday, Thursday, whichever day it was. Apologies for not remembering the specifics. And then, the Brewers, of course, they're in Wisconsin. They had a game postponed. The Dodgers game that night was postponed. I believe the A's game, same thing. So I don't know if there will be more of this. I guess it depends on the state of the country. However, I applaud these athletes taking a stand and doing something.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So the games resumed on Saturday. Um, we have a few series wrapped up. So the Clippers moved on, Lakers moved on, Celtics moved on, Raptors, Heat, and Bucks. Last night was Denver versus Utah, and I believe Denver won, right? That
Yeah,
was
it
one of the
was based on that series is a pretty anticlimactic game.
It was low scoring, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 78-80. But you know, if you're a basketball fan, solid game, but it definitely wasn't like as much fun as some of their other games.
So
So
that means Clippers are taking on the Nuggets.
yeah,
There's still one more first round series going on. Houston versus Oklahoma City. We'll face the Lakers, whoever wins that one. That game seven's tonight. That's been a pretty good series from what I hear. They had who was the um, who won the last game between these two teams?
OKC.
OKC. So Russell Westbrook, right? He had a chance late and he threw it away or something.
Yeah.
Damn, Russ. There's probably like 5 gifts that perfectly describe the emotions that people would go through. I love me some Russell Westbrook gifts.
Oh,
So
he's got some of the best.
so the other series is the Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Heat are up 1-0 in that
Yep.
series, and then Celtics Raptors. Do they have game 2 yet?
Last night,
Is it 1-1?
Celtics are up 2-0.
Okay, Celtics are up 2-0. So that's where we're at. Um, narrowing down. I'm excited for some of these matchups. I believe the Lakers series is going to be entertaining. I'm surprised that the Celtics are up 2-0 on the Raptors right away. Maybe the Raptors will get some games back, and then the Heat went up on one of the favorites 1-0 in the series. So maybe we'll see some more in Game Sevens.
Hopefully, that's always exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to be fair to Milwaukee, though, they did lose the first game of their last series against the Magic, and then won the next 4. So
Good point. Good point. Yeah, there's it's the gentleman's sweep, right? You
yeah,
spot them one game,
exactly.
so they don't feel bad, and then you take care of business. Um, Baseball. We had the trade deadline, and some stuff happened. The Padres went crazy. AJ Preller went all in, picked up a pretty good haul of relievers, kind of highlighted by Clevenger, starting pitcher from the Indians, and then they also got Austin Nola, a catcher from the Mariners, and then they traded away Austin Hedges and Mejia. Did they trade away Mejia? I can't.
No, I'm pretty sure Mejia's still there.
Okay, that's okay. I was looking at the transactions, and you know, baseball being baseball, it is difficult to find like concise information on transactions. I went to the transaction page, and for like every player that was involved in the trade, they had it like a separate line. So it had like the same transaction like 10 times because, or 9 times because I believe the Padres and Indians trade that brought in Clevenger, 9 players were involved. So it's like, anywho,
Yeah,
it's tough when you're condensed on time to take down notes, and when you're dealing with shoddy Best Buy equipment, you got to make the best use of your time that you can.
exactly.
So the Padres bring in a haul. They deal away some young talent. I talked about this more extensively in maybe the lost episode that may or may not get posted to our feed. But Jeff, what do you think about the moves that the Padres made?
I think it's awesome. Um, I still don't think it's really going to do much this year. Um, I'm a believer that like the trade deadline, unless you're like the top team or like it doesn't really do a whole lot for you. I think it's more setting them up for next year to continue this run, to be completely honest. And I know Preller's probably looking at it as like this year. But baseball is probably the easiest sport to add players because it's the most individual of all the team sports. But it's always hard to add guys middle of the season, especially in a season like this. I feel like it's probably even harder. But I mean, I love it. I hope it works out. I hope they go all the way for all my Padre fan friends.
Compadres. Your Padre
Huh?
compadres. Your Drake's
Yeah,
compadres.
exactly. But I honestly think it'll work out better for next year more than anything.
So you're
Um,
telling me the Padres are going to win 2 titles, and next
no,
year it's going to be even more dominant.
that's not what I'm saying at all.
Oh,
I
okay.
think the Dodgers are winning it this year. I know.
I'm pretending you didn't say that. No, but I mean the Dodgers do look good. There's no way around it. They have the best record. However, the Padres have scored the most runs. So,
There
and
you
they
go.
got the pitching. The Dodgers have been put on notice. I see, man. It's getting real online with the chatter between Dodgers and Padre fans. I saw a post. I can't remember if it was Reddit or Twitter, one of the two, one of the
Yeah.
two. And you know, Padres fans were taking victory laps for the trades that rockstar GM. I feel like anytime Preller makes a trade, you have to say the rockstar GM. Um, Anywho, uh, but they were taking victory laps, and then some Dodger fans said all that, and you're in second place or something like that. All this hype, and you're still in second, or you're still gonna finish second, referencing the division. And then the
Yeah.
person clapped back. You mean like how the Dodgers always wind up finishing second? So
I mean, so I will say this, like that's really funny, but the Dodgers' two World Series losses came against two teams that have been punished for cheating in both those seasons.
yeah, I mean, you
Um,
just hate to see that. You just, oh man, heart breaks.
I will give the Dodgers a pass. I will say this. I love what Preller did, and I talked about this in our group chat the other day. Preller made one move that I think could have been completely avoided. And the Padres, I know the farm system's still solid, but could still have Trammell there and a couple other assets, is he traded for Mejia and then never gave him a chance to be anything. In his one like decently long stint, which was like 250 at bats, he hit 265.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not great, but for a guy that hit around 300 in the minors over the next like 2.5 years to only give him like 350 at bats is a
Yeah.
joke. And I think part of that is the Hedges issue. Hedges has been a top tier major league defensive catcher for a while, and yet a like single A hitter for a while. And I know the Padres had a really tough time with him. And I think, I said this to a couple Padre fans, in the last couple of years, is that I think Hedges is a bullpen catcher on a team like the Padres. And I think on a team like the, he goes to a team like, if he were on the Dodgers or if he went to the Rays, who are in first place right now, or something like that, I think Hedges could be helpful, right? But like those teams don't necessarily need the hitting production from that spot.
Yeah.
And playing Hedges for a long time when you needed production and not playing the one catcher that offered that upside, who was still fairly young, I think hurt. And I think, Danny and I were talking about this the other day, is that now Mejia is a wasted asset, right? Like you had a chance, right? But now you've traded for another guy
Yeah.
who you're clearly going to start over him, right? So what do you do with Mejia at this point? He's 24, right? Do you throw him back in the minors when
Yeah.
next year, or do you keep him as your bench guy? Like, what do you do with that situation at this point? Um, I think that could have been completely avoided, and then you still have Hedges and you have Mejia, and you get all the other guys, right? That's just my thought. But I mean, overall, I like what Preller did. He sees an opportunity and he's going for it. So good on him.
I'm a little surprised that you landed on the Mejia side of the Hedges Mejia debate. However, you make some good points.
Well, so I'll explain it like this. And baseball has the most numbers of any sport, right? And they do their best with defensive metrics. But I still don't fully understand the value of like what Austin Hedges does. Like he frames a couple extra pitches a game. I don't care. Like we've seen, and this isn't like, it's not that Hedges is not a major league player, but like we've seen multiple teams in the majors who all look at similar data, who all do the same, that always opt for the offensive catcher over the defensive catcher. And for the Padres to not do that always shocked me. And it just kind of like, I feel like they were the ones doing it wrong, if that makes sense. And I feel like this trade kind of says like, yeah, we fucked up the last couple of years.
Hedges did have some clutch hits, a few of them.
Yeah, I mean, when you hit 190, you're,
Yeah, he didn't have many, but he had a few. I believe he hit a walk-off last year. He was part of that big comeback last week against the Mariners. He seemed like he was a good dugout guy. Do you say locker room in baseball, or anyway?
Well, that's what I always thought Hedges was good for the team, but I thought his role was more of a bullpen catcher and catch, like every fifth day when your main catcher's tired, or if you have a pitcher that's struggling, maybe you throw Hedges in there with him because he's a very good defensive catcher. But I thought the negative he brought on offense was just so much worse than the positive he brought on defense.
Yeah, I saw on Reddit there was a Hedges appreciation post, and it actually made me a little sad because he had Hedges had a quote that the best part about the season was being around all his best friends so much, and it's like, oh
dang,
man,
that's rough.
Rest in peace. And then also, he was a big part of the rebuild, this generation of Padres players of young talent. And just as the team is starting to have some success, then you get traded away. That's a bummer for him. Yeah. So, wish him all the best. However, thank God we do not have to engage in the Mejia Hedges debate. We just kind of did that right now, but nothing was less interesting to me than those group chat conversations between Mejia and Hedges. I just played both sides and tried to troll the other side whenever the one player had some success. So that's how I got my entertainment out of it. But I made this joke yesterday, so it may or may not be a duplicate. But I said choosing between Mejia and Hedges is like choosing between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. There's just like, I don't think either one of the guys is the answer. You know what I mean? But at least one of them does something right. You know what I mean?
I can see that. I completely disagree because when Mejia was in the minors, he was above average at everything. And
Hedges,
then
it's not like Hedges didn't have it. He had good minors numbers too. He would rake in spring training.
Hedges' like best average in the minors is like 270, whereas Mejia's was like 330. Hedges also in 6 years and 1,300 plate appearances has a 199 career average.
Yeah.
So he has a 615 OPS.
So you're telling me he has the most opportunity to improve. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Anywho, but you're stepping on my joke.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It wasn't very good. Anyway, but I did say, maybe our solution here is to put a package deal together for that New Zealand Prime Minister, man. It seems like she has her country under control and on the up and up. What kind of trade package do you think it would take to get her?
Oh man, that's
yesterday I proposed like Denzel Washington, Tom Hanks, and I can't remember the third.
No. Can't trade Denzel.
What?
Untouchable.
Untouchable. Okay, how about let me see. Oh, how about Childish Gambino? Can we trade him?
Untouchable. That's
we
talent
could trade him, but we retain Donald Glover. We can trade Childish. No, that doesn't work. All right.
Not for me. For me, that's a no-go.
All right. Well,
I'm cool with getting rid of Tom Hanks. We can get him out of here.
Okay. How about Tom Hanks and AOC? She's an up and coming. No. She's a prospect.
Love her.
Yeah, she might not pan out though.
But we need people like her.
Okay.
How about we get rid of Bernie?
An aging veteran.
Yeah. He's in his prime right now. He's never been better.
Okay, so we could deal Bernie, and then we gotta send him some youth to they can have Elijah Wood, right? They're perfect. Bernie
He's
Sanders.
More comfortable out there anyway. It's where they filmed all his movies.
And we'll send him cash consideration. So.
Okay, and a player to be named later.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Player to be named later. Elijah Wood, Bernie Sanders, and cash for the New Zealand Prime Minister.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think we just solved the U.S.'s problems, Jeff.
I'm with you. I agree.
Type it up. We'll submit that. Anywho, so the Padres week kind of highlighted leading up to the trade deadline was that comeback against the Mariners. They ended up losing the series, so the Vetter Cup it currently rests in Seattle, but it had one of the more dramatic finishes with Will Myers hitting a walk-off in the 7th inning. So they're back in action tonight. But yeah, more baseball. I'm excited. I may or may not spend money that I don't have on Padres merch here pretty soon.
There you go.
Let's talk soccer. Jeff, did you hear about the big signing by Juve?
No, who is it?
Weston McKennie.
Oh, dang. So I will say this, U.S. soccer, I saw a list of like 10 players that are at pretty big clubs that are all pretty young for the next like 10 years.
Yeah.
And U.S. soccer might be on the actual upswing.
If these guys could ever freaking play together, man.
Yeah.
All these tournaments, for whatever reason, they haven't really had their A squad in. I mean, it feels like forever, maybe since the last Gold Cup. But even then, I think somebody, maybe Pulisic, was injured. Somebody was injured.
I think it was Pulisic. I don't think he was there at the last big tournament.
Yeah. So, hopefully, shit. Excuse me.
Go get tested.
Now my throat just got a little dry there. Anywho, hopefully these international games pick up. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but would love to see some of these guys in action together. What they can do. Weston McKinney's on Juve, Pulisic's on Chelsea. That there are some. There's a midfielder on some other Premier League team. Matt was telling, or a friend of mine was telling me about So yeah, and there are others. There are others around the Bundesliga. So get them all together. Let's see what they can do. In other soccer news, Premier League's about to kick off again. All the leagues, I believe, are about to kick off again. But the main story is La Liga upheld Messi's transfer fee. So it's going to cost a team $700 million to acquire Messi. So with that being said, it
Well,
seems like
there's still a debate about that. Because his clause, the clause in his contract is something about at the end of the year he can leave for free. Something in there said like in his contract said it had to be done in June. His decision had to be made by June or something like that. But he obviously didn't make his decision until after. But I think his way of fighting it will be like, well, coronavirus and like we played after June type thing. Like, you know what I mean? So, we'll see. I know for now it stands like a team will have to pay the $700 million, but I could see him suing and kind of getting out of it if he really wanted to. The other thing he could do, I read this, is he could just not play for Barcelona this year and his contract ends next year. I don't think he would want to do that. I read his dad is supposed to be meeting with Barcelona in the next few days or something like that, because his dad's his agent, I believe.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy to me that Barcelona has screwed this relationship up to this point.
Yeah, it went bad so fast. I know with their ownership, Barcelona actually, as compared to other big soccer franchises, I don't know the specifics, but I remember hearing that Barca is this massively popular team. However, because of the ownership, they don't exactly have a lot of money to throw around. I think like Manchester City, for example, has ownership that I believe is tied to like big oil, and so they have like the deepest pockets possible. So yeah, they have put they had the big three for a while. They had Suarez, Neymar, and Messi.
Right.
And then they've had some other guys that were part of Barca for years that have kind of just aged off. So it's they'll still be around in the years to come. They're one of the greatest franchises of any sport, but the state of them right now is tough to watch a little bit.